I'm Lucy, welcome back to Dear Beautiful. I have got a video for you today that I am really excited about. I actually don't know why it's taken me so long to do a video like this, because this is something I am so ridiculously excited and passionate about. So as you can see from this video's title, it is Brilliant Books for Big Thinkers. For those of you that don't already know, before I was a mum, I was a teacher. And before I was a teacher, I actually studied English. So I've always loved books. And I would say my main sort of focus and the thing that I kind of specialised in when I was teaching was early phonics, early reading, that kind of lighting that fire in kids and getting them loving books was my absolute favourite thing about teaching. And if I can impart one thing to my own children, it would be a love of books. So I have always been a very avid collector of children's books, even before I had my own children. And now I have my own children, we have a veritable library of books. Today I'm going to focus on books for big thinkers. So when I'm talking about big thinkers, I'm talking about kids like my little Dylan, who, if you've watched last week's room tour in this very room, he is a big thinker. That's not to say that my girls aren't thinkers, but Dylan wants to learn everything and he is really interested in how the world works. He's interested in science and geography and space and the universe, and honestly, he blows my mind. But like a lot of little boys, he is much more interested in reading non-fiction books than he is in reading fiction books. Now, he reads fiction books, he does love fiction books, but I think it's sometimes harder to get boys really fired up about fiction in the same way. I also think that non-fiction books that are targeted at children in Dylan's age group, and he's 6, they're often really dry and boring and not very interesting and not particularly inspiring. Now, I'm gonna sound like I'm turning the teacher switch on now, but there are a lot of crappy kids books out there. Not knocking books, all books are great, get kids loving books, but getting really good quality books in front of kids that fire them up, that have good vocabulary in is really, really important. So today, if you have a kid like Dylan, or any kid to be honest, who is just interested in reading something that's about the world, or that's about science or geography or anything, we have got tons of those books. So I'm going to share with you some of my favourites. The first two that I'm going to share with you are kind of architecture-y. Now, if you have seen some of my previous videos, you'll know that we went to Dubai in April, and the absolute highlight of that Dubai trip for Dylan was going up the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. And he's been fascinated by skyscrapers for a long time, and having been up one has just really fired him up even more. So I wanted to get him some books that could tell him a little bit more about the Burj Khalifa and about other significant buildings. So let's start with this one. This is called Who Built the Skyscrapers? And it just says it's an introduction to skyscrapers and their architects. It doesn't have tons and tons of skyscrapers in it. It kind of touches on some sort of key skyscrapers through kind of history. So you've got the Eiffel Tower, you've got the Chrysler Building, there's like various different ones, and most importantly for Dylan, the Burj Khalifa is a chapter that is down the bottom here. Each chapter is really nice. Basically, they're not math, there's not too much writing. This is quite a grown-up type book, I guess, to give a 6-year-old, but Dylan absolutely loves it. And each little chapter has got a little bit about the architect. It tells you a little bit about the process of the building and how they went about it. And like you can see, there's not tons of text, but there is just enough texts and numbers and the kind of thing that gets kids really fascinated about size and scale and that sort of thing. So I would really recommend this one. And at the same time, it was about this one, which is called Cool Architecture. This is very much a coffee table book, and it actually says on the front, filled with fantastic facts for kids of all ages. And I would include adult kids in this, because there was stuff in this book that I didn't know about. It covers loads and loads of different topics. It's a real kind of pretty book because it's got lots of different boxes with bits of information in. You can kind of pick it up and put it down and read a couple of pages, and it kind of touches on key buildings. So there's stuff in here about the Taj Mahal, there's stuff in here about the Shah, there's stuff in here about the Burj Khalifa and all that sorts of things. But then there's also things about kind of Orientalism and the Baroque period and modernism and how architecture has changed over the years. So that's something that's quite new that Dylan's getting into, but definitely worth picking up if you've got a kid that might like that kind of thing. The next books I'm going to show you are probably your more traditional kids non-fiction texts. If you are just kind of stepping into the idea of picking your kid up some non-fiction texts, you can't go wrong with Usborne. So all three of these are Usborne books, and they are definitely some of our favourites. So we started with this one, which is Lift the Flap, Questions and Answers About Your Body, which is a really fun starting point. I think most kids are interested in how their body works and various different things, and this kind of asks the sorts of questions that children ask. So when did we learn to talk? When will I have all my big teeth? Where does my food go when I swallow it? How do broken bones mend? And basically when you ask the question, the answer is inside and you can have a little read. So this is a really good starting point non-fiction book, and there's a whole range of different ones. This one is obviously about the body, but they do loads and loads of different topics. So these are brilliant. I really can't rate Usborne books highly enough, so much so that we moved on from this one to this one, which they're both equally valid and equally interesting. This one is a bit maybe easier, this one is probably slightly more scientific, and this one is called, it's another flat book, See Inside Your Body. And this one is just a little bit more scientific, so it answers a lot more sort of questions about body parts and what things do, and it's still got all the lift the flaps, but it uses a lot more kind of technical scientific language. And yeah, Dylan finds this book fascinating. And another one that is definitely worth a look out for is the Junior Illustrated Science Dictionary. I actually picked this book up at a local fair, and there was an Usborne bookseller there, and she actually said at the time, oh, I think that book might be a little bit too much for your little boy. Dylan is quite short for his age, so he does pass for being a lot younger than 6, but reading wise he definitely wants stuff that's a lot older than 6, so this is perfect for him. I would say it probably suits kids maybe year 2 onwards, probably comfortably year 3 onwards. Dylan is in year 1, but he has got loads out of this book and has absolutely loved reading it. It's definitely more of a dictionary. So if I hold it up and show you, there's different topics on each page, and it covers all the sort of different scientific topics you'd expect to cover at school. So there is biology, there is chemistry, there's physics. It's all in here. And it's actually amazed me how much Dylan has learnt from this book. He'll just open it up on a page, and then the other day he was telling me something about germination. And I was like, well, where did you learn that? And he was like, my science dictionary, duh. So it's a really fun book, and I also think it's one that if you buy it when your kid's quite little, it will carry you through, because this is basically going to be useful for the whole of primary school, I would say, and probably the beginning of secondary school science, if I'm honest. I remember revising some of this for my GCSEs, so definitely a good book. We like this one a lot. Okay, the next one has the potential to be controversial. We're going to scoot over the controversy of it for anybody that doesn't choose to buy into the book that I'm about to show you. I'm sorry. Basically, we picked up this, which is The Story of Life, which is a first book about evolution. Dylan studied a topic in his religious studies this 2 terms ago at school that was all about the Christian creation story, which I was really happy for him to learn about, but I also wanted him to know that there are varying opinions on the creation of the world. And for a kid who is massively interested in space and how the universe was created and wants to know about the dinosaurs and how they became extinct, I wanted to make sure that he had a scientific reference point, and to know that the creation story is fun and it's lovely to know that, but in a lot of ways it can be seen as being symbolic rather than like actual fact. Oh god, I'm so worried I'm like going down a rabbit hole here. I'm going to offend people. But basically I wanted to get him a book that was going to kind of tell him what scientists know about the creation of the world. So it's a really nice children's book. It's got lots of lovely big pictures. It's got, I think, just enough kind of technical explanations about what's going on without it being too sciencey. You could definitely sit down and read this kind of, maybe not as a bedtime story, but you could sit and enjoy this. It's not, doesn't feel like a non-fiction-y information book. It just feels like a nice interesting book that tells the story of how the world came to be and then how various different animals have evolved over time. So yeah, let's just scoot over any potential controversy. This is a really good book if you're interested in teaching your kids and having them have a read about things to do with evolution. Next up, these two books are beautiful. I kind of bought them sort of for myself when I first bought them, but Dylan loves them. We started with the London book. These are by Jenny Maisels. Is it Maisels? I think it's Maisels. And basically they are the most beautiful pop-up books. They've just got these absolutely stunning pop-ups of London. Dylan is really interested in London. He's very interested in cities full stop, which is why we then followed up with getting in the New York one. If Jenny Maisels happens to watch this, he would really like a Dubai one. So if you could get cracking on that, that'd be great. But yeah, it's got lots and lots of like, it's got these amazing pop-ups, but it's also got tons of information. So on the back, there's obviously that pop-up, but then on the back of the pop-up, I don't know if you can really see that, there's information about what the pop-ups are and all those sorts of things. So these are definitely, let me show you the New York one as well, because these books are just so pretty. They're fascinating. And look, this one even gets bigger. So they're beautiful. They're definitely ones we keep out of reach of tiny toddler sisters, but they are really lovely and slightly different books to have a look at. The next one that I'm going to show you is called Metropolis. This one Dylan has had for a while and is a very big favourite. You'll see a theme now in the books that are coming up, and they all basically look like really nice hardback coffee table books, and that's kind of what they are, but they've just got tons of information that really interests kids. So this particular one is all about different cities around the world. So it's got a map in it, which for my, you know, map mad kid is great, but it touches on all these different cities and it tells you, shows you some of the sort of highlights of the city. Up here it gives you what their language is and what the population is. It's just a really pretty book to pick up and look at. If you happen to travel a lot, I reckon this would be a great book to have, because if you were, you know, saying to the kids, we're going to go to Paris, let's have a look at what the highlights of Paris are. They speak French. The country is France. There's 12.3 million people. It's just a really kind of gives you a whistle-stop tour of the cities. So, and it's, as you can see, it's really pretty and bright and exciting and just lovely looking book. So I would definitely recommend Metropolis. Another very similar one, even bigger, is City Atlas. It kind of picks up where Metropolis leaves off and it gives you a little bit more information about the cities. So, oh my goodness, it's such a big one. This one has got 30 different cities in it, and it gives you a big map of each city, and it will tell you all sorts of different information about things you could expect to see there. Let's go for good old London. So on the London page, there's, you know, you've got some of the reference points that you can look at, like the Thames and St Paul's Cathedral, but there's all sorts of interesting information. I mean, this would be, it's almost like a travel book, you know, like travel guides, but it's just a really nice, simple kids version of a travel guide. And it's got, again, like beautiful pictures, just enough information without it being too much information. Dylan finds these sorts of books absolutely fascinating, and it just makes the world seem really interesting and exciting to him, and I think that's something that's really nice to foster in kids. So this is one that's definitely worth a look. If it wasn't already very obvious that my kid likes map type books. Here's another one. This one is a bit of one with a difference. This is called Atlas of Adventures. So it is kind of in a similar vein to the other two books, but that's the sort of thing he likes, which is why I've got loads of them. But this one is slightly different in that it goes place to place, but it kind of tells you exciting things that you might do there. So it focuses on really specific adventures that you might have in a place. And I think the thing that I really like about this book is you kind of get the sense of travelling and the excitement of what you might learn somewhere, kind of from the comfort of your own house. So there's something in here about the Highland Games. It tells you what, so that's obviously, and it highlights where in the world you would do that. And then you've got some other things that might happen. This is obviously going to North America section. So if you were to go dog sledding with huskies in Alaska, or if you were to go hot air ballooning in Canada, or if you were to go to Central Park in New York City, it just kind of touches on, you go river rafting down the Grand Canyon. It just touches again on lots of interesting places, things that really interest big thinking kids. And it's just a really nice book to look at. Dylan has basically almost created his own bucket list of travels based on things he's found in this book. So it's definitely a good fun one. This one is slightly different. This book, when we got this for Dylan, he was fascinated by it because it's a double-sided book. It's either called Under Earth, Underwater, or Underwater, Under Earth. I'm not sure which comes first, but basically, depending on which way you open the book, you either get loads of information about what goes on underneath the water, or if you open it from the other direction, you get loads of information about things underneath the earth. So this, again, for a kid that's really interested in the world, it tells you all about, basically digs down deeper as you go. So it starts with things like bugs, and then it goes down into sewage and utilities and electricity, and then there's all sorts of interesting things in these books. They've got fascinating pictures and labels and interesting information. So this is, again, a really great book for kids that want to know a lot about how the world works. And this book is actually written by the same people as this last one I'm going to share with you now. And this last one is definitely Dylan's favourite, and probably my favourite too, and it's just called Maps. And it says here, travel the globe without leaving your living room, or in Dylan's case, his bedroom. It's basically, as the name suggests, a book full of maps. And for a kid that loves maps, it's fascinating. It's very simple. It doesn't have tons of writing in it, but what it does have as you go from country to country is it gives you pictures of things that you might expect to see in that country, but really kind of simplified. Let's open it up on Mexico. So if you look at Mexico, it's got different foods, it's got things, various different interesting places that you might want to visit. It's highlighting up here some of the animals you'd see, things like mariachi bands. There's all sorts of stuff to do with like cactuses and different wildlife and all sorts of things. But it's just a really pretty book. I actually know that they make a spin-off of this book, basically, that is kind of like a poster book that you can rip the maps out of and frame them, which we very, very nearly did for this room, but then we found a massive map instead. But yeah, it's just a really interesting book. A bit like a lot of the maps, it would be brilliant for children that travel a lot, or if you're going on holiday and you just want to open it up on a page and you want to show them something that they might expect. I know that a lot of schools will kind of pick a country and kind of focus on a country as part of a geographical topic, and it's a really interesting kind of launch point to talk about at home and help support that. So that's why we have got tons of map books. But yeah, I'm worn out, and that's basically like the favourites, but that's only about half of what he's got. So I hope that was helpful in some way. I hope it's kind of come across how passionately I feel about supporting the kids with good books, good quality books, and I've just shared some of the books that we have. Like I said, he's got lots more, and if people want to see more books that might be helpful, that would be great. Similarly, if you have any books that are in this kind of vein that I have not flagged up, please leave me a link below, because I might already have them, but I might not, and I'm always on the lookout for good, interesting books that are gonna fire up Dylan's imagination and kind of get him interested in how things work. If you would like to see this sort of thing again, if you want to see sort of particular toys or books or play or any of that kind of thing, just let me know. Make sure, if you're not already, that you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss all the videos that are coming up, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.